Hey, so new episode here of Pancreatic Cancer channel. This one, I'm going to do this one and then I'm going to do another one. And this one is about pain meds. After this one, I'm going to upload a video that's about pain, but it's about dealing with pain. So um, let's see if I can get this all right. So here's the thing. I've had a lot of problems with pain, obviously, and I have been taking, oxycodone and oxycontin, a long acting and a short acting. And it's, the thing is they give it to you, they figure out a formula, and then you're like, okay, this is dealing with my pain. But you got to be on time with it, because when you miss those times, man, it's brutal. It's like, oh. So what I've done is I've had friends that actually, one in particular who calls me for my morning pain meds, and he calls me like clockwork every day to say, hey, take that pain medication, because lots of times I'll sleep through it, or if my phone battery dies or whatever, or I don't know, my alarm doesn't go off. I actually have a an iPhone and I have an iWatch, and I bought the iWatch recently specifically because I needed a backup for that purpose, actually, just to so that because my phone would run out of battery power, and then like nobody can call me. I'm not getting my notifications. I'll have another video that I'll do about that, because the new iWatch has a lot of really cool stuff that I recommend. And I think when you're sick, when you have a terminal illness, there's a lot of good stuff it can do to help. So I digress. Back to the pain medications. I told you guys about this thing, these little things. This is a big one. It holds a bunch of pills, and it's waterproof. It's made of metal, made in the USA. I have a smaller one that I leave on my keychain. This one I leave in my bag, and sometimes it goes in my car. But basically, it has all my medications, and that's really important. Since I live in the Bay Area, we can have an earthquake or something like that, and sometimes you can get stranded, or if there's like, I don't know, big accident on the bridge and I'm in the city. I live just over the bridge in Oakland, so even though it's just a 20-minute drive, if there's a big accident in the city or on the bridge, then it might be a really long delay getting back home. So those 3 hours or whatever, you want to make sure that you got medications. So do a little thing where you can carry them around in different spots, and definitely always have a full day's worth on you is what I recommend, if not 2 days, which is better. Because just in case you use some and then you forget to replace them, that second day's worth can be a good backup. And I have run into that situation. The very first time it happened to me, I was like, never again. I was teaching a class and I ran out of pain medication. I was like, oh, I have one more hour and a half teaching this class, and then I can go home and take my pain med. But as it was, my pain med had wore off, so that hour and a half was brutal. And I actually ended up leaving the class a little bit early because it was too much. And so back up. So think about that. So I was doing the OxyContin long-acting and short-acting pills, and I'd have a regular schedule to take the long-acting. And then the short-acting was like those breakthrough pills where you have pain, and it's like, hey, I got to get this under control, or it's just not enough. So now, because I've been taking so much, I was up to, I was taking like 260 milligrams of long-acting, maybe 230 to 260 milligrams of long-acting oxycodone. And then I would take like another, sometimes like 90 of short-acting, the breakthrough stuff. So I was down in a lot of pills, and that's what I needed. So they try to kind of compress things for you. And the solution that I'm on now is these, it's fentanyl. And I know that's been in the, media a lot, because the opioid crisis, which it's such a weird thing, because, there are people out there that are taking drugs to get high, and they take these drugs and they get high, but people like us who have cancer, we take pain medications and we don't get high. It just takes the pain away. And it's kind of amazing because when I first started taking pain medication, I was really fearful of an addiction. And I told my doctor, I was like, oh, I don't want to become addicted. And I had this thing in my head that I was going to be this like pill popper and like high and oh man. But it's not like that because our pain is so intense that you take a pill and it gets rid of the pain. Hopefully it gets rid of it. I mean, in my experience, it never completely gets rid of it. Once in a while, I have moments where I'm like, wow, I kind of feel pain free. And it's very fleeting. You know, it's like a butterfly visiting you. And you're like, wow, little butterfly. And then it floats off and you're like back to this thing where you still have this like, you know, level 2, level 3 thing that kind of floats there. And you want to, sorry, I keep bumping the table. You want to kind of stay there. But anyway, so now what they do is they give this patch. So I have this patch and they gave me 2 patches. This particular one is 25 milligrams. Is that backwards? Is that how that's going to show up on the video backwards? I hope not. And then the other one's 100. And so the deal is that they put me on 125. That's why I put 2 patches on. And then they started it out that way, but then it was like, oh, it's not really enough because, so they gave it to me. They said, take that. And then you have the short acting, which is these short acting pills, which are like these little tiny pink ones, you know, they're 10 milligrams each, and you take them and they start working within like 30 minutes. And these are little lifesavers when you're in pain. But so you do 10 milligrams at a time. So it's kind of this incremental approach. So they did that, and then I realized, hey, I needed more of this patch because it wasn't doing it. I was like taking tons of these little ones, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not enough. And of course, I didn't up the dose of the patch because I had never taken it before, and I don't know. You know, you still have to be careful because we are dealing with opioids, and I think there is a, you know, it's funny because the box says, hey, you know, caution, opioid risk overdose and addiction. And I don't know if that's for cancer patients or not. I kind of think it's not, because I don't think we're going to get addicted. And when it comes to overdosing, I've taken enough to make a regular human being overdose. In fact, I think I've taken enough that like an elephant would overdose. But for me, it just takes care of the pain. So now they have me on 175. Tomorrow we're going to go get the new prescription, which is a 75 milligram patch. So I can just put the 100 and the 75 on. I'm going to show you what I got on right now. That's it. That's how it's done. Isn't that wacky? And it says fentanyl, and it has the number, the thing, so you kind of feel like, hey, this is what I got. And I also had this thing that, like, taking these medications, I have like a little list that I keep in my car that's a printout that's from my chart system, which is what my hospital uses. And it just has a list of all my medications, but it also has a list of all my conditions, you know, pancreatic cancer, adenoma, carcinoma, blah, 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 you know, that it's metastasized in all these parts of my body. And so that if I get pulled over by the police and, I mean, if I'm feeling like I shouldn't be driving, I don't drive. But to be honest with you, I drive a lot, and I'm rarely. The only times that I don't drive is times where I'm really tired, and it was times when I was doing the chemotherapy and the infusion, and I was getting like dehydrated, and so I'd be like weak and everything. That was the only time. And then also when I was doing the chemotherapy, I was having problems with. I was kind of getting anemia. I mean, they were going to be doing blood transfusions to kind of pump me back up. And so that makes you really like, oh, you're like super tired. And, but from the drugs, I have not felt that. So, knock on wood that I don't get that problem, but you still have to be careful. Like, you get in the car and you still have to make an assessment of like, am I okay to drive? Am I 100%? Are my senses and reactions 100%? That's really, really important, because the last thing we want to do is get in the car and, hurt somebody or hurt ourselves, so yeah, so that's important. But if you do get pulled over for some reason, like, hey, my headlight's out or whatever, and they start saying, cops these days are like, do you have any drugs in your car? Do you have da da da? Are you on this or that? Are you doing? And they're quite inquisitive. And I'm not going to get into the whole political aspect of that, because being an artist and a bit of a rebel, I kind of, I'm a bit of like fight the system, and I like declaring my rights all the time. So I don't like answering questions from people. But anyway, you have to be prepared, and you have to give them what they need, because look, right now, this arm, I have this massive bone pain, and it's like, if I got arrested, I mean, look, if somebody comes up to me and just grabs my arm, I will melt, just like, oh, the pain is so great. Even if I took 100 of these patches and covered my body and soaked in a bucket of them, it wouldn't help, because that bone pain, once you start moving my arm and squeezing it, it's just excruciating. So the idea of being manhandled by a cop or having them put handcuffs on me would just be, I think I would perish. I mean, I would just obviously be weeping and crushed, and, they'd have to call an ambulance. And of course, they would be like, what is wrong with this idiot? But I just couldn't handle it. So we have to be prepared for those kinds of situations, that if we're ever in a situation where we're at an airport or something like that, and something goes wrong, we need to be able to tell the people who are dealing with us that we have this condition and that we're very fragile and susceptible to things. I'm super susceptible to my bones breaking, because, I did all the chemotherapy and everything. My bones are fragile, and, somebody could wipe me out. Yeah. So that's it. So the fentanyl patch, I'm trying it out. Definitely, when you put it on, you want to put it on in areas where your body doesn't fold so much, so that the patch stays on there. And then you can bathe, and you just don't put water on it and rub it down or anything. Just kind of like, just stay away from that area. And then if you can shave, I recommend that, because, oh my God, the first patches I pulled off, I was like, it was hurting. It definitely pulled hairs out of my chest. So I recommend shaving. I also recommend that once you take it off, you can use alcohol and a little bit of tissue, and you can clean off the gum that comes with it, because it definitely does have a lot of gum on it. Additionally, when you dispose of it, make sure you don't put it in a place where your animals are going to get it and chew it up, or where some kid is going to get it and play with it or anything like that, because it is a drug. It's really powerful, and it could hurt somebody. So be responsible in that way when you dispose of it. But they're interesting. It looks like it's starting to work for me. Just in the past couple of days, this dose that I'm on has started to work, so I'm really happy about that. For me, my certain condition, I want to keep this video short and sweet, and I want to keep it about the medication. But for me, I've had a lot of problems with pain, and I'm going to do another video talking about pain, and I'm going to show some pictures that I draw when I'm in pain. That's going to look for that video, because it will be very interesting for those of you that like that kind of thing. Anyway, so hopefully if you're you have cancer where you have a lot of pain with your pancreatic cancer, then maybe this kind of thing can help you. And yeah, the next step after this one is Dilaudid, and I think they have like drops. And I even think about sometimes when I'm in so much pain, literally, I mean, I have found myself where I'm like in bed, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't think that I can continue. And you think really horrible thoughts. And I just think like, okay, if this is what it's like, then now what I want is a family or friend who's going to come take care of me, just to like leave me here in bed and just give me whatever it is you need to give me. And I know the next step are these drops, these Dilaudid drops. Definitely not because, hey, you're going to be taking the ride home, but if this stops to work, then I need to do something else. The other thing you have to watch out is for constipation, because we are consuming tons of opioids and they do constipate you. And I watch that really closely because I've been on both extremes, like super diarrhea, and then super constipation. Definitely, I think super constipation is the worst. The diarrhea thing is bad because you're like constantly like having to be close to a bathroom and like, where are the bathrooms? And for a while I had to wear diapers because the chemotherapy they were giving me gave me really bad diarrhea and I could not hold it when I was sleeping. And it was horrible. I mean, it was so like demeaning and debasing when you wake up and you're like, oh, I soiled myself. And you're just like, it makes you feel low. It really does. And thank God that passed. But now I am very conscious of constipation and diarrhea. So fortunately, the diarrhea has passed. I can now kind of eat foods and get nutrients. And that's one thing I want to say. When you can, watch your diet, man. If you can eat food and have food nourish you, do it, because it's definitely one of the keys for cancer, for like helping us continue on. But anyway, I try not to take too much stool softeners or anything like that. But if I know that it's starting to get constipated, I will take one. And I'll do things like drink a lot of tea, like green tea and things like that. Licorice tea is a smooth muscle relaxant, and that works really well. I'll also kind of start just doing soups and things, making sure that I'm eating things that pass easily, right? Instead of some of those dense proteins that take forever to digest. Like when you're constipated, you don't want to take those because they just turn to like stones in your gut, and you're like trying to get things to move, and you can feel it. And there's nothing worse than knowing you got to go, but you can't go, and it's all packed in there. The train is loaded. Everybody's on the train. Everybody's got their ticket and they're ready to go, but it's like not moving. So yeah, watch it. All right, I hope this video helped, and I'm gonna end this one, do a little, put a little bumper on it, and then I'm gonna do another one about some art, and I might do another one about some other aspect of care. Anyway, yeah, I'm still only at 1 subscriber, so I'm still thinking that this podcast is going to be something that's in the future. Hopefully people with pancreatic cancer will find it, and in the future it'll help somebody. I'm a year with my cancer now, a little over a year. And yeah, I kind of went through a lot of therapies and everything, and now I'm doing some new things. But definitely, if I get another year, that'd be great. But I'm hoping this YouTube channel will stay up there, and that if it's a year, if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, and somebody finds this channel and they get a benefit from it, I'll be really, really happy. It'll be like, it's a nice little legacy to sit down, leave for people. So see you later.